What if the most trusted host on QVC became the most misleading? What if behind QVC's most lovable host was a side she never wanted you to see? Calculated, cold, and trained to turn trust into sales. Because according to growing fan backlash, Amy Stran's not just selling products anymore. She's selling the illusion of authenticity. For more than a decade, Amy Stran has been one of QVC's brightest faces. She's warm, stylish, relatable, the kind of woman you'd trust to help you pick the perfect blouse or the right shade of lipstick. But lately, longtime viewers have started to notice something different. They say the charm feels rehearsed, the warmth feels hollow, and the authenticity that once defined Amy Stran has started to fade. It's a strange shift, one that's left thousands of shoppers asking the same question. Has Amy Stran changed? Or have we finally started seeing the truth? When Amy first joined QVC back in 2009, she was everything the network could ask for. She wasn't loud or pushy like some of her peers. Her voice was calm, her tone friendly, and her smile effortless. With a background in theater, Amy knew how to hold an audience without overwhelming them. Viewers loved that she seemed real, someone who actually used the products she sold. When Lisa Robertson stepped away, Amy filled part of that gap. She became the fresh, younger face of QVC fashion, hosting PM Style and slowly building her own loyal following. At first, people adored her. She talked about her life, her kids, her clothes, even her insecurities. It didn't feel like a sales pitch. It felt like a conversation. She was the friend on your TV who helped you shop smarter. But over time, that easy connection began to erode. Something in her delivery started to change. Fans began noticing the same phrases, repeated word for word, night after night. "This would be $300 in retail," she'd say, always with the same wide-eyed enthusiasm. But she never explained where that number came from. The same laughter, the same intonation, the same rhythm. What once sounded spontaneous began to sound scripted. For years, viewers gave her the benefit of the doubt. After all, hosting live television for hours at a time can't be easy. But eventually, the repetition became impossible to ignore. It wasn't just that Amy was saying the same things, it was that she seemed to be performing the same person. And then came the first cracks in the illusion. In one fan forum, a longtime viewer claimed they caught a glimpse of Amy when she thought the cameras were off. The cheerful tone vanished, replaced by something cold. According to the post, Amy's face hardened and her voice snapped in irritation at someone on set. "It was awful," the viewer wrote. Her whole demeanor changed. There's no video evidence of that moment, only the story of a disappointed fan. But it spread quickly, and once that seed of doubt was planted, it grew fast. Because if there's one thing QVC viewers value, it's sincerity. These are people who tune in every day, who buy from hosts they feel they know. So when even one viewer claims the kindness is an act, people start looking closer. Soon, more complaints began surfacing. Some said Amy had become too full of herself. Others accused her of bragging every time she mentioned her size. Always XXX small, always repeated. What began as a simple reference for sizing now felt like vanity. On Reddit, someone joked that Amy's tombstone would read, "She was 5'2" and wore an XX small." It was harsh, but it captured what many were thinking. The once humble host now seemed obsessed with her image. The criticism snowballed. People complained about her constant laughter, her habit of interrupting guests, even the way she exaggerated her reactions. Every giggle, every gasp, every dramatic hand gesture. Fans started to question whether it was real. They weren't seeing Amy anymore. They were seeing a character, and once an audience decides someone's fake, every tiny thing becomes evidence. That's when the phrase started circulating. Amy Stran's dark side, a catchy label that spread from forums to social media. It didn't mean Amy was evil, it meant fans no longer believed her. The dark side was the mask, the rehearsed smile, the endless energy, the relentless positivity that now felt mechanical. Some even accused her of being one person on camera and another off it. They said she'd mastered QVC's playbook, the emotional connection, the careful phrasing, the illusion of friendship. And maybe she had, because that's exactly what QVC teaches. Every host is trained in what insiders call emotional selling. They're told to connect feelings to purchases, to make you feel like you're buying from a friend. From tone of voice to hand gestures, everything is rehearsed. And Amy, with her theater background, perfected it. She didn't just learn the script, she became the script, but perfection has a price. When someone becomes too polished, they stop feeling human, and fans began to sense that. "She's bubbly but hollow," one viewer wrote. "Everything she says feels pre-written." Another added, "I used to trust her, but now I can tell when she's just reading the pitch." And maybe that's what happened. Amy got too good at her job. At first, her charm felt effortless. Now it feels controlled. Every emotion timed. Every smile calculated. You can almost hear the gears turning. When to laugh, when to sigh, when to mention her family. It's all part of the rhythm that keeps people watching and buying. But somewhere along the way, fans stopped buying it. The comments online turned vicious. People said she was phony, unwatchable, the reason they switched to HSN. Some said they mute her shows. Others admitted they leave the room when she's on. One commenter went as far as to say, "Amy Stran is as fake as a $3 bill. When she's on, we change the channel." For a host whose power relied on connection, that's devastating. And while many of these remarks are subjective, the pattern is undeniable. Viewers are losing patience. They say QVC used to feel genuine. Hosts like Antonella Nestor and Carolyn Gracie connected because they were imperfect, funny, real. But those hosts are gone. And the ones who remain, like Amy, now represent something fans can't relate to anymore. Corporate polish. Network that once felt like home shopping among friends now feels like marketing in disguise. Part of this backlash is bigger than Amy. QVC itself has changed. The prices are higher. The presentation's slicker. The emotional manipulation subtler but stronger. When Amy says this would be double at retail, shoppers fact-check her instantly. When she calls a product exclusive, someone finds it cheaper online. And when she keeps smiling through it all, they don't see grace under pressure. They see performance. It's easy to forget that hosting a live sales show is exhausting. Hours of talking, smiling, pretending every product is the best you've ever seen. Maybe Amy isn't fake. Maybe she's just tired. Maybe after 15 years of smiling on command, she's learned to do it without thinking. But that's the danger. When you sell sincerity for a living, eventually sincerity stops selling. Some of Amy's defenders still stand by her. They argue she's just doing her job, a working mom trying to meet impossible expectations in an industry that feeds on charm. They say the quirks people hate, the giggles, the excitement, the oversharing, are simply her personality. And maybe they're right. Maybe the dark side is nothing more than Amy being human in a world that demands perfection. But perception is powerful. And perception is where Amy seems to have lost control. Because once the public starts questioning your authenticity, every smile looks like a lie. Every compliment sounds like a script. Every heartfelt moment feels like acting. And in a business built on trust, that's deadly. Some fans say the real issue isn't Amy at all. It's what QVC has become. A network where hosts are trained to sound personal, but can never be too personal. Where emotion is encouraged, but only if it leads to a sale. Where everything, even sincerity, has a price tag attached. And that's why viewers feel misled. They thought Amy was their friend, someone who shopped with them, but now they realize she's selling to them. That invisible line between connection and commerce has finally snapped. It's not that Amy betrayed them, it's that she reminded them what QVC really is, a business. Still, the anger lingers. In Facebook groups, people swap clips of her shows, mocking her exaggerated reactions. On Reddit, they catalog her catchphrases like proof in a case file. On YouTube, compilations of her cringe moments rack up views. And through it all, Amy remains silent, smiling, hosting, carrying on as if nothing's wrong, but silence doesn't erase perception. You can almost feel the tension whenever she goes. Live, the split between fans who still adore her and those who've already made up their minds. Some call her Sweet Amy. Others call her Queen of the Fake Smile. And somewhere between those extremes lies the truth. Maybe Amy Stran isn't the villain the internet has painted her to be. Maybe she's just another face caught in a company machine that values charm more than truth. Maybe the real dark side isn't hers at all, but the system she's part of. Because when a network trains you to perform sincerity, how long before you forget what sincerity really feels like? When you're told to always smile, always agree, always love everything you sell, eventually that mask stops coming off. And so Amy Stran keeps smiling, she keeps selling, she keeps thanking viewers for trusting her. But behind that polished delivery, some people now see something else. Fatigue, pressure, maybe even regret. The kind that comes from realizing you've become both the product and the pitch. Still, Despite all the criticism, there's something oddly tragic about it. Amy Stran once represented what viewers loved about QVC: warmth, relatability, connection. Now she represents what they hate: artificiality, overproduction, distance. It's not that she changed overnight, it's that audiences have evolved. They expect transparency, authenticity, imperfection. They crave something real. And when they don't get it, they rebel. Amy Stran's story is a warning. A reminder that even the most beloved television personalities walk a fragile line between trust and suspicion. One misplaced word, one insincere smile, and the spell is broken. But maybe, just maybe, there's still time for her to rebuild that bond. To drop the act, even a little, and remind people why they fell in love with her in the first place. Because at the end of the day, viewers don't need perfection. They need honesty. They don't want a pitch. They want a person, and until QVC remembers that, hosts like Amy will keep carrying the weight of a network that's forgotten what made it special: connection. So as Amy stands under those bright studio lights, smiling through the criticism, one question remains: is that smile real, or just another part of the show? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: the trust that built QVC is fading. And for Amy Stran, the woman once called the heart of QVC fashion, that loss may be the darkest shadow of all.